welcome to Friday Nights with Emma. Sorry, Mike was making funny faces behind the camera. Mike is behind camera today again, so say hi to Mikey. Just let us know that you're there with a thumbs up or a little heart. Hope everybody's having a nice evening tonight. Got my grape juice ready, so we're all set. Michael's being really funny tonight. So how is everybody? I'm going to show you something tonight that I've been talking about.
Dawn, Diana.
Oh, hi Dawn.
Sharon.
Hi Diana. Hi Sharon. Hi. He's making funny faces.
Oh, I think oh, there you go. Lorraine.
Lorraine. Hi Lorraine. Yeah, technology is baffling him tonight. I don't know why. So, kind of excited this week because I got these panels in, which were brand new.
Debbie.
Oh, hi Debbie. So, I thought I would do some stuff with these and
Mum.
show you. Oh, hello Mum.
Terry.
Show you a technique for adding borders that I talked about a little while
Carol.
ago. Hi Carol. Oh wait, Link's moaning. He's in the kitchen. Oh, and then Monty's going to want to go in.
Come
on then.
Here, I'll come. Well, this is getting off to a good start.
Yeah.
Linda.
Hi Linda. Sorry, it will get better, I promise.
Karen.
Hi Karen. So yes, we've got all these lovely linen panels. And so I thought I would show you how to add the borders staggered. And you can do the same technique on quilts as well, especially if you don't have enough to go all the way along. So if I show you the panels I've got the bee.
Leslie is watching.
Oh, hi Leslie. Oh, and the bee fabric that goes with that. That's going to be the backing. Put that aside. We've got the hair.
Sharon is watching.
Oh, hi Sharon.
Anne is watching. Ross is watching.
Oh, hi Ross.
Anne is watching. Annette is watching.
Hi Annette. And the hedgehogs. So this, if you look on the borders for the hedgehogs, this is how most people do borders, and I tend to do borders.
Terry is watching you while he strips wallpaper.
Oh, hi Terry. Fun. Oh, it's good to have something in the background. Oh, you like stripping wallpaper. You had fun doing that. Yeah.
Anne is watching.
Hi Anne.
Laurie's watching. Sandy is watching.
Oh, hi Laurie. Hi Sandy. So these borders I did these with a short border, which I applied to the sides first, and then a long border to cover everything. But sometimes you might find that you don't actually have enough fabric to go all the way along, but you've got enough to go from here to the end on all four sides.
Caroline is watching.
Oh.
Joan is watching.
Hi Caroline. Hi Joan. And that's what I mean by
Sarah is watching.
staggered border. Oh, hi Sarah.
Joanne is watching.
Hi Joanne.
Sonia is watching.
Oh, hi Sonia. So that's the normal way of doing borders, and again, if you can get stuck if you don't have quite enough of the strip to go all the way along. And all the panels are online.
Hillary is watching.
Oh, hi Hillary. It's a cotton polyester mix. It looks like linen, but it's actually cotton polyester. It's 80% cotton, 20% polyester.
Wendy and Debbie are watching.
Oh, hi Wendy. Hi Debbie. So they're all online now. And this fabric. Oh, I love this fabric actually. I'm kind of excited about this. This came in this week. It was a nice and new little surprise, a little bit like Christmas. I think I'm going to make an apron out of this. I love this one. Anyway, digressing. Borders. We're doing borders. So where's my bee? I'm going to do the bee.
Laurie says she loves the hedgehog.
Oh, hi. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I do like the hedgehog. That's one of your favourites, wasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, the bee's my favourite, but
yeah,
I like the hedgehog.
bee. I've got a pheasant as well. I'll show you the pheasant later on. So, I've got 4 strips. Now, these are quite long strips, longer than, I could still do the whole length if I wanted to. But, in theory, all you need, this method, is a strip of fabric that is the length of your panel or your quilt, plus enough to cover one width of border.
Leslie says she loves the bee, and Laurie asks, is that flower material in your shop?
It is. They're all online now.
Sandy loves the bees too.
Yeah, I like the bees. I've got, the bee fabric. I've got the bee fabric.
Sorry. Diamond asked, when do you wear an apron?
Oh. I do. Well, I think I'm going to have to start wearing one when I sew, to be honest with you, because I end up with threads all over. But I do, usually when I cook, I do have an apron on.
Christina is watching.
Oh, hi, Christina.
And Sonia asks, are these on your website? Yes, they are.
Yep. All the panels are online. £2.50 each for the panels. And the fabric, the patterned, let's see, I've got 3 actually. I've got here. I've got the floral, the bees, I've got a peacock feather, which is really nice, and I've got a plain. Now the plain is exactly the same colour as the background on the panels, and that's what I've got for the back of the pheasant, which I'll show you later. So it all goes together.
Jenny, Margaret, and Shona are watching.
Oh, hi Jenny, hi Margaret, hi Shona. There, so that's how it goes staggered. So it's like, you know how sometimes you fold up a cardboard box with the lids and you have to put all the flaps under so they interlock? Yeah, it's more like interlocking borders, I guess. So to do this, I've got some pins left. The trick is the very first strip.
Hannah Laura is watching.
Oh, hi Locke. I'm going to sew this onto here and I'm going to line up. These are straight edges, so that should be okay.
Sarah says, when making pizza.
Mmm. Yum. We had meatballs for tea. Mikey's new favourites. I'm just putting them so they're in place. They don't shift too much. If you're doing a border, definitely pin. You know, I'm not a pinner, but...
Laurie says, oh great, I love peacocks. Looks like I might be spending my money.
Yeah. The peacock feathers are really nice. I think I'm going to use that to... I've got a kit to make my own lampshade. I think I'm going to use that on that.
Margaret loves the fabric too.
Oh, thanks. So, I've got my first strip.
And Sarah says these fabrics will be great for her nature journals.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, she showed me today. They look great.
Tina is watching.
Oh, hi, Tina. Right. Before I sew this on, I'm just going to explain to you what I'm going to do, because this is the first step. And then it will be quite simple to go the rest of the way. But the first step is I'm going to start sewing from here, which is going to be my edge, which is lined up.
Sandy says, and we can relate, she needs an apron for all the cat hairs, as they always want to be.
Yeah, well, we had a cat on top of all these panels a minute ago, and actually, they've been good. This fabric has been really good as far as resistant to cat hairs, because usually, especially with Monty, it automatically sticks to everything. So, yeah, definitely good against cat hair.
Sonia likes the idea of interlocking borders.
Yeah.
And Jenny also loves the fabrics. And are they on the website? Yes, they are.
Yep, they're all there.
And Barbara is watching.
Oh, hi, Barbara. So, I'm going to sew along here. My 1/4 inch seam, actually, I'm going to do a little bit more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance, because it's a little bit frayy. So, I'm going to add a little bit extra just because of this fabric. But normally, I would do a 1/4 inch. Oh, there, they're being good. And then when I get to this end, I'm going to stop sewing about 1/2 inch from the edge. So this is going to be open, and I'll show you.
Sarah asks, what is the best thread for sewing machines, cotton or polyester?
Either way, it depends on the project that you're working on. I tend to use cotton with cotton, polyester with polyester. So cotton with cotton fabric, polyester with polyester fabric. But you can just use all-purpose polyester thread, which is quite strong and works fine. The only thing about threading, which I have told the viewers before, is if you're going to re-thread or you're going to change your thread, snip it at the top here and always pull it down through the mechanism the way it should go. Don't ever pull it back, because it can get fuzzies caught. And I actually, even though I do that, I don't know if you can see on top of my machine right here, I've cleaned it out, but right inside here this week I found a great big fuzzball of lint and thread pieces that had gotten caught in there.
Laurie asks, would it be a good idea to sew seam with an overlocker?
Oh yeah, you can definitely do that. That overlockers are good on wovens so long as there's not going to be any strain on the seams. Otherwise, if there's going to be any sort of strain on the seams, then I wouldn't use an overlocker because they can come apart with a woven. And I've heard that, not from personal experience, but I've heard a story of a lady who, when she first got her overlocker, she sewed a woven fabric pencil skirt for a friend.
Mandy is watching.
Oh, hi Mandy. And yeah, her friend discovered that halfway through the day her skirt came apart because, yeah, the fabric's frayed. And so, word of warning. But if it's not going to have any stress on it, which it shouldn't for a cushion, then it'll be perfectly fine. So I'm going to do, so I'm not going to do quite 1/2 inch. What I do to cheat is I sew so that my fabric, oh hi Jane, so the fabric runs along the edge of my regular, this is what I call my regular foot, my flat foot. I'm sure there's a proper name for it, but I'm just going to use this edge of my foot as my guide for my seam allowance. So it's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch, but not quite 1/2 inch. Find my foot. There we go. My pin out. My pin out. And I'm going to go to there.
Karen says she just ordered the hair panel and the botanical fabric. That's my sister-in-law's birthday present sorted.
Perfect.
And
nice.
Debbie is watching.
So that's as far as I'm going to go. It's a little bit more than 1/2 inch, but there's a little gap there. I'm just going to do a little backwards stitch, 2 or 3, just to hold that so it doesn't fray while I'm doing the rest of what I need to do. There, so that's the first side. That's how you start the first side. So you need to sew all the way on the edge where it's lined up, and at the other end you need to leave a gap. Okay, so move my machine out of the way. My juice, my chicken. Just going to press that out like we normally would, except when it comes to here, I'm not going to press that out all the way, so I'm going to press from here. Oh, they are being pills tonight. Sorry, the cats. They're doing their I want in, I want out, I want in, I want out trick with the kitchen door.
I mean, literally 10 minutes ago they were sleeping, both of them.
Yeah.
Joanne says, we have discovered that we have hedgehogs living at the top of our garden, so I think I need to order that one.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, we have a little, I don't know how, well, we sometimes see it. We used to be able to hear him.
Yeah, sometimes.
Snuffling at night, but I can tell because there's hedgehog poo on the garden, and we don't have any other animals that would create that. Right, so I've pressed it, not quite pressed it over here. That's going to be the last bit, and then I'm going to start sewing all the other sides all the way across.
Beverly's watching.
Oh, hi Beverly. So then this, I'm going to line it up. I can sew all the way along. So I'm just going to pin him down.
Diamond says Link and Monty obviously think they are stars of the show.
Oh yeah. Well, this is the time of night when Monty's usually sitting on Mikey's lap. Every night. So he's a bit disgruntled about that.
Joanne says they only realized because they put the water out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was putting hedgehog food out. I have to admit, earlier, a few weeks ago, I was putting hedgehog food out that we had. And I thought, oh, there must be really hungry hedgehogs because it's completely gone, front and back. And then, because I've been putting it out sort of this time of night, before sundown. And then I put it out one night, and then I looked, and all the birds were eating it. All the starlings were down eating it. So it wasn't the hedgehog at all. It was the birds. So I haven't done that. Although they have their own food, I don't want them eating the hedgehog food.
Brenda is watching, and
hi,
Karen
Brenda.
is watching.
Oh, hi, Karen. Yeah, I have to admit, I use this method of attaching borders quite a bit because it's a little bit more economical on the fabric. And sometimes you have quilts where you're not sure, do I want to put the short sides on the sides or on the top or the bottom, or the long ones on the top or bottom? And this eliminates that question completely.
Dawn says her neighbor's cat eats the hedgehog food.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing I was wondering. But I thought if there's a cat, then there might at least be one or two little bits of pellets left.
No.
But, you know, it was completely gone.
Jenny is watching.
Oh, hi, Jenny. Yeah, I was feeling bad for them because it was so dry, wasn't it, for a while? No slugs or snails about. I thought I'd better put some food down. They're obviously eating something because there's poo on the lawn.
Judith is watching, and Anne is watching, and Margaret is watching.
Hi everybody. Ah! I knew that was going to happen at some point. I thought I had enough. I ran out of bobbin thread.
Oh, I.
So. Oh wait, I've got some white. White will work.
Heather is watching.
Oh, hi Heather.
And Debbie is watching.
Didn't win chicken bobbin that time. All right, try it again.
Helen is watching.
Oh, hi, Helen.
Susan is watching.
Hi, Susan. Get all that lined up. There we go. That's better. Right, now I can press that out. Trim this off.
Diamond asks, it seems similar to adding to a log cabin.
Oh, yes, it is. The only bit that's you have to do differently is that bit at the beginning, like I showed you, where you leave that gap. And then I'll show you the very final one. This one and then the next one will be exactly the same way as doing a log cabin.
Beverly is watching.
Oh, hi Beverly. There we go. So normally I would trim that corner off, but we'll leave that for now. Oops.
Sorry, my fault.
There we go. So now I'm going to add the third strip exactly the same way. Line it up with this edge. try and do this relatively quickly because this is the boring bit, these two, because these are exactly the same. That's not quite. Just going to take a hair off that. There we go. Pin out. Make sure it's all. Go.
Sonia says she loves the wool prezi mat she purchased from you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's great. I have to admit, when the first time I used it on the sewing quilt, I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a try. But then I used it for the blocks, and it really does make a difference. Unfortunately, Monty has also decided that he really likes this wool pressing mat. So he does sometimes lay on it. Actually, is it Sarah who's lost her wool pressing mat to the cat and she can't bring herself to kick him off it when she needs to use it, so
We know that feeling.
yeah. Right, so those are 3 sides done. This is the first one where we've got our gap. Now for the last border, you do exactly the same way, and because you've got that gap, you can sew it right across that end. So I'm just going to pin him down. So you need to leave a gap so you can at least get your seam allowance in there without catching. So you can sew across that without catching this strip. There we go. Threads. Pin out. Now we have to do this bit. Let me turn that off. There we go. That should be working. So press this one out, just like we did all the others. I shall get in that corner. And then we just have to finish sewing this bit across there like that. This is where my gap was. Go back to join them. There we go. Now it's just a case of, normally I would use shorter strips than this. I just sort of cut what I had. But you would trim all your corners off. Oh, that's the last of it as well. Can't afford to drop that and break that. It's the last of my white naked wines. It's precious.
Lori says money spent, flower, peacock, feathers, and all the panels bought.
Oh,
Yippee.
nice. Yay. Yeah, I really like these. I was excited to get these in.
Joanne asks, sorry, she missed the first few moments. Are all the panels the same size, and
Oh,
how big
yes.
are you making your borders?
So the borders, this one is a little bit wider than the hedgehog one. So I think this one I cut 4.5 inches wide, because you've got a little bit more seam allowance as well. So they will end up a little bit smaller. If you want enough fabric to do the borders and for the backing, I would get at least 1 meter of whatever fabric that you want, or 1/2 meter of a patterned and 1/2 meter of the plain, which I will show you as well. You turn him around so we can see him properly up the right way around. With my pheasant. There. That's my interlocking borders for the bee. I need to press a little bit more. There we go. So I'll trim him up. What I've got somewhere here.
Cecilia is watching.
Oh, hi Cecilia. This is going to be my back. Now I tend to do an envelope back for my cushion. This is going to be a cushion. Down there. And all I've done, so the fabric is a little bit wider than normal fabric. It's 55 inches wide. So I've just taken the length, the width of the fabric. It's about 1/2 meter wide. I've squared it all up, and then along one edge I have turned it over twice. So I've pressed it under twice and then sewn, top stitched it basically to keep that seam.
Diamond says she remembers now. It was the house blocks on the bird pond quilt. You had to leave them openings to get them together at the end.
Yes. I remember. Good memory. Good memory. That's probably why I did so well on that one, because that's the way I do my borders mostly. I'm like, oh yeah, I know this way. I do that a lot. So I'm just folding that in half. And just cutting it down roughly. There we go. So for this one, what I think I'll do, I do need to trim them up. I might have to do that before we go to the next step. So let me think. That one goes down. So I tend to like my envelope backs to open from the bottom, if that makes sense. So on the back, it'll be, the top bit will be the longest, and then underneath. Hopefully that made sense. So I want to put my first one down like that, and then my second one, which will be on the inside, going up. So right sides together. Flip them over. So the only bits I'm lining up, because I don't worry about too much about the edges, because those are going to be trimmed off because they're extra, is lining it up with the top and the bottom of the cushion. So this is the top. So I'm going to line that up. I'm just going to cut this. I normally do it with my ruler and my rotary cutter. But okay. It's not quite straight at the end. It was fine right up to that bit. There we go. And I'm going to leave this over because I'm going to trim that once it's all sewn together. There's my pins. I'm going to pin right here to keep this all together. So for this one, I've done the border a little bit bigger because the way I'm going to finish the edge on this cushion is with an Oxford edge, which I think gives it it's really easy and it's a nice way of finishing the edges.
Is there a Cambridge edge?
Yeah, we are more Cambridge fans than Oxford, but in this case it's just Oxford. Although you like Oxford.
No,
you like Morse.
Yes.
There we go. Oh wait. That's not lined up, is it? See, I wasn't even doing what I said to do. So I'm lining up. This edge. This edge I know is nice and straight, so there we go.
Terry and Suzanne are watching.
Oh, hi Terry. Hi Suzanne. Yeah, there we go. So I'm lining up the raw edges at the top here. Because that will give us a full overlap.
Katie says she went to the University of Oxford.
Oh. Very clever.
And Diamond says, don't start a war.
Uh-oh.
No, it's just good, wholesome competition. Jeanette is watching.
Oh, hi Jeanette. I'm just going to show you. So I've got a good amount of overlap with my envelope. So what's that? Maybe about 8 inches right there. You can do it shallower, and if you want to add either some ties or buttons and buttonholes, if you're proficient with that, or if you're happy with that. Actually, buttonholes, if you've got one with a buttonhole foot on your machine, so easy. I used to have to do them the old-fashioned way back when I first started sewing because I didn't have that foot.
Back in day.
Back in the day. Try a little bit more. Might go a little bit longer today because I definitely want to show the binding. I've got the pheasant, I'm just going to do it with a binding.
Melinda is watching.
Oh, hi Belinda. Out of pins. I'm going to have to steal them from the pheasant. One more here. There. What's that? Make sure that's all lined up over here though. So I'm going to get that. Make sure it's all. I want to make sure it's all laying flat and good. I need to trim this one too. I'm going to use the edge of my cushion as my sewing guide. So that's why I want to make sure that my cushion top is square how I want it, and the back I don't worry too much about. There we go.
In Annette, in Cornwall, it's back along.
What? What?
In Cornwall, it's back along.
Back along?
That's what it says.
Oh, okay. You might have to explain. I have to explain that.
That was from Annette.
Okay, I might explain that, Annette.
And Diamond asks if I get paid extra for overrunning. That's a good question. Bev is watching.
He gets a free haircut.
No.
Same free haircut he's had for the last 20 years. Right then. Now sew this together. Pin out. It's on the corner. Oh, where's my chicken? There's my foot. There we go.
Oh, I get it. Not back in the day, back along.
Oh.
And Joanne says sometime back along.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I've got it pinned. It came funny. Okay, that makes sense.
You meant to do that.
I did mean to. I didn't. Mm-hmm.
What's occurring here?
It's I don't know. I'm gonna have to back it up and see what's occurring. Oops, sorry. Oh, there we go. It was unpinned on that side. That's all. There we go. Like that, like that. There we go. Yeah, I think we're golden. There we go. On my foot again. Keep losing it. There, so I'm just rolling my foot along the edge of my cushion edge. I'm not worrying about this extra because that would be trimmed. Ooh. And then I almost missed that again. How did that not get pinned down? Okay. There we go. Well, hopefully that will work.
Jeanette says she's always losing the pedal. Also.
Yeah. They need to put a little bit of like non-slip rubber or something underneath so they don't go skidding off. My mum often uses her just press and start button, but I can't get used to that. Ooh, go back a bit. So did everybody watch Sewing Bee this week? I think the right person went off. Although I think it was a bit close between her and the chappie. Sorry if I've spoiled it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. But I didn't say who went off.
Sonia thinks you're doing amazingly well sewing with an audience.
Oh, thanks.
Keep hitting the light.
Right, so that's going to go that way.
Katie says yes, wants Claire to win.
Yeah, I think she's been really good. She's really good technically. I think if you could combine Claire and Nicole, Nicole's got the flair and Claire has a technical ability. But I have to admit, I'm glad she won Garment of the Week last week because I thought that transformation was fantastic.
Is Claire the 1940s 50?
Yeah. Yeah. But you should have seen her transformation. You didn't watch it. You didn't watch it with me this week. She did really good.
Joanne says they are all so talented.
They are.
Leslie also wants Claire to win. Sarah wants Claire to win.
Yeah, I think she'd be good. Claire or Nicole? Definitely.
And Penny says she's had her machine for about 10 years and still can't get used to the stop-start button.
Yeah, I find it's... Yeah, I can't use my hands. I've got not enough hands to do it if I use that.
Jeanette says yes, but most people think the wrong person went.
Oh. Well, she didn't do very good the first couple of bits, and I thought her transformation challenge was dire, I have to admit. And I was surprised, because usually she does pretty good. I thought that would have been up her street as far as a transformation.
Sonia says Claire all the way.
Fudge.
This is BBC. Dawn says she loves Nicole.
Yeah, I really like her style. I think she makes her life a little bit too difficult sometimes.
But Jeanette disagrees. She thinks Nicole makes too many mistakes. Claire is good.
Claire is very methodical. She is very, very good sewer, technically.
Still. Joanne says she likes Liz, but she's not sure she's been as consistent as some of the others.
No, that's why I thought she just had a bad week last week. Because sometimes on the transformation challenge, she really nails it, but she didn't do so well last week.
Paula is watching.
Oh, hi Paula. And I hadn't watched it by the time John did his Sewing Bee commentary. I hadn't watched it on catch up yet, so I couldn't watch it with John. I'll have to definitely watch it. It's a final next week, so I definitely got to watch it Wednesday night so I can watch John the next day. Hello, Link. We'll get there. Sorry, guys. We'll get there. Oh, down, up. There we go.
Are you helping, Link?
He's doing good helps.
Kitty likes Link.
You got a fan link.
Sonia says, drink your wine before the cat gets it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the last of my bottle. The last of my bottle of the last of my case.
And Lori says she does not feel she's in control with the button for stopping in the right place.
No.
Yes, Claire to win, most consistent every week.
Yeah, definitely. She's been steady. We'll see. So far, Charlotte's been the only one that when I've watched it that I'm like, oh, I really want her to win, and she did.
Joanne says she learned to sew on a machine whilst having a dodgy knee. So,
oh. So
finding using a foot pedal is weird.
Yeah.
Jeanette says Link doesn't seem to mind the bobbing wheel. Annette says it's a sewing competition. I think Claire has been consistently the best sewer.
That is true.
If you master the start-stop button, you'll never look back, Emma.
Oh, okay.
A lot of controversy this week.
I know. You have no idea. You have no idea.
And Jeanette says she hasn't mastered the start-stop button either.
Yeah, it is just what you get used to. I'm just going to clip my corner. There we go.
What do you say? There is no right way. It's just what's right for you.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong way. Only the way that works for you.
Yeah. And Judith says she has never used her foot control.
Oh. See, I did start using, on my other machine, I've got a little knee press. You use your knee to lift the presser foot up and down. I did kind of get used to that, and that was kind of nice.
Debbie says Claire to win, and the music was good. My favorite, Gary Newman.
Oh, yes.
And a bit of craft work, too.
Yeah.
And Leslie says, I don't feel in control with the start-stop button.
Yeah. I do use it. Actually, I tell you when I do use it sometimes is to wind bobbins when I have a little bit of thread left over on my long arm quilting bobbins and I need to free one up. I'll just use the press start button on that. There. Wow. We'll see. See how this works. It's a big one. But it is going to be a little bit smaller once you get the Oxford seam in. So I'm just pressing my corners out.
And Laurie says, we sewers can be quite controversial.
Yeah, see, he has no idea. There's a whole new world for
debate on the best sewing tips.
Mm-hmm.
And Joanne says the start-stop button helps me to be more consistent in my speed.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Penny says, I love my knee lift, especially for quilting.
Mm-hmm.
And Christina says, my machine is on the worktop. The foot pedal cord is so short, it doesn't reach the floor, so I've always used the start-stop.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my cushion. There's my envelope at the back. When I meant, so that's the front, so that's the right way up, and then on the back, I tend to have my envelope facing down, if that makes sense, like that. Now, the Oxford edge, sorry, I'm licking my fingers, because you really want to press out that seam so you get a nice crisp edge. So really press it out.
Sonia says it's looking good.
Oh, thank you. So you can, if you just want to do a regular basic cushion, you can just stop here and you have your regular basic cushion. But if you want to add a little bit of element to it, you just make it a little bit bigger than you need for your cushion pad. How bigger you need it depends on how wide you want to do this next bit.
Carol says her 4-year-old granddaughter loves using the start-stop button.
Oh, yeah.
I dread to think what she'd make of the foot pedal.
Yeah, we had a little boy come in to the shop when it was open and did a little project with us. We had him use the presser, the button to start it and stop it.
Sarah said
it really helps.
that is massive.
It is big. Yeah. I'm gonna have to find a big cushion pad for it. But it will get a little bit smaller.
And Diamond says how spoiled we are. My vintage Singer doesn't have any bells or whistles.
But
straight stitch. Hold on to the fabric and wind the handle.
Yep.
Still works beautifully.
It's a good workhorse, I bet.
And Pat is watching.
Oh, hi Pat. Oh, somebody did ask about the size of the panels. They are roughly 18 by 18. I think technically they're rectangles rather than squares, so you do need to square them up a little bit. And they're like 18¼ inches by like 17¾ inches, so it's only off by like ½ an inch or so from being square. And there's enough edging around the design, that you can really center the design nicely. I'm going to leave it there rather than pressing it around, so for time's sake, and I'll finish that.
And Sarah says big enough for Rosie to lay on.
Oh yeah. It would make a great pet cushion. Really good. Let me just push that corner out because I'm not happy with that. I want to start sewing here. There. So for the Oxford edge, it's just top stitching now. Gonna top stitch.
Linda is watching.
Oh, hi Linda. Start here. So however wide you want your edge to be, I might put it straight down the middle, and I'm going to line it up with the line on my sewing machine right here so it's consistent. I'll maybe move it over just a touch.
Sandy says a good floor cushion, but cats will think it's theirs.
Oh yeah. Indubitably. Just going to start off. So my stitch length is 3, which I've been using a 3, not necessarily because I had to for the construction, but I was doing something else earlier. But for top stitching, making your stitch a little bit longer will help. I do the same with when I machine quilt as well, make my stitch length a little bit longer than when I piece together.
Kitty asks, what size is a fat quarter in centimeters? Doing a project tomorrow with Jenny Taylor, and project is asking for 2 fat quarters.
They will be 50 centimeters by about 55, because I think it's 110 width usually, so roughly there, so roughly 50 by 55.
And Tina says lovely and clear as always, and it's a lovely design.
Oh, thank you. So you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to add that edge. Sometimes you get that on pillowcases, Oxford edges on pillowcases. So this will stay flat, obviously, around. You'll have like a flange, not a better word, all the way around your cushion. And you don't have to make it that wide. If you wanted it to make a smaller cushion, you can actually just do sometimes I just do a top stitch, maybe about ½ an inch in, all the way around the edge, just to sort of mimic the look of a bound edge, just to finish it off a little bit nicer.
Jeanette says, oh, an Oxford edge like an Oxford pillowcase.
Yeah.
And Leslie says, loved it.
Oh, thanks. Oh, this is the one I didn't press out yet. I'll have to pretend. So the corner can get a bit tricky. So you want to gauge, stopping it roughly, your... Ooh, that was jammy. So what I tend to do is not go quite as quick as that. I actually have to get it spot on. But if you stop a little bit short of what you think, or a little bit long of what you think your edge is, you can just, if you stop with your needle down, just pivot it to where your line is that you're marking it off on, and see, does that actually match up? And mine, it just happened to match up exactly. That was really jammy. we go. And you just continue all the way around, and then when you get to where you started, I just do another, either a lock stitch or another little backwards and forwards, and that's that. And I'm going to do a little back stitch here. You can also use a contrasting thread if you want to add it a bit more pizzazz as well. There. You'll see, yeah, when it's stuffed, it'll have that edge on it. Times it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit over because I just want to show you quickly the bound one. So that's the Oxford edge. Now this pheasant, got the pheasant, and I'm going to do him with binding around the edge. Now I've done the same envelope back, but you'll see instead of putting right sides together, I've got wrong sides together, so it sort of ends up looking like more like your finished cushion. Does that make sense?
Joanne says cushion is so lovely. Also thinking about wall hanging too,
yes,
with a bit of quilting and maybe some embellishments.
Definitely. I actually once I thought it'd be nice to actually have a like a sofa quilt with the panels and some fabric in between and some quilting. Yeah, definitely. Definitely a good idea.
Jeanette says lovely.
So what I've done, this is that plain, the natural plain fabric that goes with the panels. So it's basically the same colour. I've got binding, I've just got straight binding that I've used, 3-inch wide strips, and then I've sewn it together on the bias right there to join 2 strips together. So all I'm going to do on this is sew the binding. I'm sewing the binding on the back because I'm going to press it to the front and I'm going to sew it by machine. If you want to hand bind or hand finish your binding, you would sew your binding onto the front and then fold it over to the back.
Laurie says a cord edge would be nice as well.
Yes, that would be nice. I find those a little bit trickier, so I don't tend to do those, although I do have a chair project that I'm planning to do that on. Give it another try. I think with the zipper foot, I think corded edge is a lot easier. So. There we go. Again, you just want to leave that edge that's about the width of your seam allowance. So fold that back this way, and back that way. A bit more that way. There we go.
Laurie says you use a cord sewing foot. That works great.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried one of those. I haven't had a. I'll have to look.
Back in the sewing bee. Jeanette says Nicole never made binding, always used ready-made, which I think is not good.
No, it is a bit cheating. Yeah, I think she does definitely make her life more difficult with the fabric choices she makes sometimes. Well, we'll see next week what happens. There we go.
Diamond says, I always think when we are told to use the needle down function on our machine is funny. They basically all have it. It goes up and down. Stop it when it's down.
That's true. It's sometimes a bit harder. What I do on my older machines that don't have the fancy feature is I just turn my flywheel down so that I do it manually.
And Sonia asks, have the pieces been sewn together before adding the binding?
No, they're all loose. Look, so I'm sewing it all together at the same time. You can do, if you want to do that to make it a little bit easier, so that it's not quite running away from you, is you can do a 1/4 inch seam allowance and just sort of baste it down so that it stays together. So use a bigger stitch, like a 4 or a 4, sometimes 5 tends to pucker a little bit. But do it with a narrower seam allowance.
And then Jeanette says yes, and then John on Thursday for discussion.
Yeah, definitely next week that will be my agenda, because I will be watching the final on Wednesday night. Usually I watch on catch up, so I don't always get to see John.
Annette asks, some quilt patterns call for miter corners on borders. Do you think this is necessary?
On some patterns, yes. Especially if you've got a fabric with stripes, a mitered corner really looks nice. But otherwise, if you don't have a fabric that would look better as a mitered than as a square, I would just make your life easier and go with the square, because the mitered ones can be tricky to get properly done.
And Katie says it's John's birthday today.
I know, yeah. Did everybody wish him a happy birthday and post things on his Facebook? 60, the big 60 today.
Leslie asks, who's John? It's John Scott. Lori also says it's John Scott.
Yeah.
The maestro.
Mm-hmm. Link's playing up again. Oh, I got that a little bit too close, but because I've...
Yeah, Jeanette says the big 60.
Yeah. Big 60.
And then Diamond says, of course, he's only 40. And Katie says she misses you two doing shows.
Oh, yeah. I like John.
With John.
He's funny.
And Jeanette said she wished him a happy birthday.
Good. Oh, and it's misbehaving. Good. Yeah, a bit different from his
birthday. And speak of the devil himself, he's watching.
Oh, hi John. Happy birthday, John. Happy birthday to you. Squash tomatoes and stew. Bread and butter in the gutter. Happy birthday to you.
John says, I can see your comments. I'm 40.
Yeah. We believe you.
And Debbie says she always watches TGBSB on catch up because she always falls asleep.
Yes. I'm already there. Yeah. 9 o'clock, we're in bed reading.
And Lori says someone put balloons and decorations in his gardens.
Yeah, I saw that. Nice. It's lovely.
And John sends his kisses.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, John. Bit different from your birthday last year. There we go.
And everyone is wishing John a happy birthday.
Good. Right, now I need to finish my binding. So I know you've all seen this bit before. trim that off there, and then you want it to overlap by the width of your binding, so then that one gets trimmed off there. I usually do it a hair shorter just to make sure it's not going to be baggy, and then so that overlaps by the width of the, so about 3 inches, and then like that. I'm going to sew across the bias, pinning. I do pin for this bit. And then sew from corner to corner. Hopefully.
Sarah says, Billy May said, what are you making, Emma?
Oh, hi Billy May. I am making a pheasant cushion. I'll show you in just a sec once I get this bit done. Billy May had dresses this week. Straighten this out. It's easy when you've got a bigger gap because you don't have to fight with your fabric quite so much.
Mind the gap.
This will work.
Mind the gap.
Did you know there's a lovely story about the man who did the Mind the Gap?
No.
Well, apparently, sadly he passed away, but his wife used to catch the tube to work every day, and so she'd hear him still every day, you know, say Mind the Gap. And then she came to, you know, she was on the tube one day, and it had changed. His voice wasn't doing it anymore, they'd changed the voice. And so she was like, oh, that was the last bit of him, gone. So she contacted the underground and told them, you know, find out what's going on, where is he gone? And they said, oh yeah, we've updated the whole system. Well, apparently they dug some archive, they had his voice left somewhere. And I think he plays at Westminster Underground still, because that's the tube station that she used to catch a tube at. So then it took a while for them to get it back up again, but he still says Mind the Gap at Westminster because his wife goes through there as a reminder.
It's very sweet.
It is sweet.
Diamond says, that looks far less fussy than those weird binding tools.
Oh, yeah.
And Sarah says, yes, and guess what? She's wearing one now, LOL.
Oh, good. No chocolate.
Joanne says it's Embankment Station.
Oh, yes. You know the story. Good. Yeah. I get mixed up with those. Well, we haven't been on it for a while now. Last time was February.
Well, we're not allowed, are we? Right, I guess you are now.
You are now. You gotta have a face covering. You gotta have a bandito mask.
A bandito.
There we go. So that is that. That's my binding all attached on the outside. And then I like to, I'm going to have the fray, some loose frays. It happens. Just trim them out. Then I only do this when I'm machine binding, but I press it out so that it really folds over well. Oh, come on. In the corners. Okay, it's easier to, when you're hand finishing it, you can just do it with your fingers and make sure that it comes over and covers. Go. I do this on quilts as well. If I machine quilt binding down, machine sew the binding down as well. This is what I'll do to make sure it goes over. Although I don't machine sew the binding on very often. pheasant. There's a pheasant. And then I usually start in the bottom. Okay, so folding it over and sewing it down. Now, it will show on the back. Your sewing will show on the back. So if you don't like that, then hand do it. It's quicker this way. So I'm going to, I'm going to move my needle over. Oh, actually I can just do it on one, can't I? So I'm moving my needle all the way over to the left so that I can get onto the edge.
Joanne says it looks lovely.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to show how quick and easy spruce or cowshed is. Just a panel, and this is a panel and half a meter of the natural fabric. So just a case of keeping that folded over. Hello, Link. Definitely have a lot. Oh, yeah, definitely need a longer stitch. So I've got it on 3 for my stitch length. There you go. Yeah, it's working better. And you can do a contrasting binding if you want to as well. Trim these bits off, they're getting a bit annoying. I will show you what I'll do in the corner. Trim that bit off a bit. It's not quite so bulky. Hopefully it should miter nicely in the corner. There, so.
Joanne says, ooh, mustard binding.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. I'm gonna have to get some coloured linens, but yeah, ooh, cotton. I think I've got some cotton. That'd be nice. That would be nice. Oh yeah, that works well. Good. Jammy.
Sue says she has used those cushion panels and inserted an orange sparkling piping.
Oh, that would be nice. Add a little bit of pizzazz.
And Jeanette says she loves a Friday night.
Oh, thank you, Jeanette. Coming out too bad. This was your favourite, wasn't it? The pheasant.
No, the bees.
Oh, the bee. The bee's your favourite. That's right.
Bees, hedgehog, pheasant, and then the hare.
Hare, yeah. We'll do one more corner and then I'll let everybody go till next week. Oh, next week. So I've been asked to show strip quilting or ribbon quilts. So that's on the agenda. That was going to be on the agenda for tonight, and then these panels came in. I'm like, oh, I gotta play with those.
Dawn,
so that'll be next week.
Dawn asks, is it a 1/2 meter for both this binding and the back?
Yes. Yep. Because I cut two 3-inch strips first, and then there was plenty left over for the back as well. With just the panel, without adding any borders. If you're going to add borders, then you'll need at least 1 meter. Well, 3/4 of a meter, but you'll have to buy 1 meter because it's only sold by the 1/2 meter. Right, one more corner, see if I can get this. Oh, I didn't trim that one yet, did I? It just helped trim a little bit of the bulk off.
Oh, Jeanette says she doesn't like the bees.
Oh. Well, like I said, no right or wrong way.
Diamond asks, if you are on the last bottle of the case, how many cases did you order? Only joking.
Just the one, honest. Yeah, so that is actually the last of my naked wines, the very last drop. Oh no, tell a lie, I've got some Prosecco in there, but Prosecco is a little bit too much for me.
Since when?
You have to be in the right mood. It's a little bit too strong.
Dawn asks, can you show me the hair panel? If you want to hold this, I could go get it.
Oh yeah.
Or is it here?
It's here. It's here. It's under link. Oh, here it is. So that's the hair. And still the bees. It's got a link. Link likes them, apparently. Oh, yeah, that's the right way around. And the hedgehogs. And the hair.
Diamond says she hates Prosecco. My husband went through his case of naked wine in a week.
Oh, okay. Took me a little bit longer than that.
And Dawn says she loves the hair.
It's nice, isn't it?
Actually, I think this has moved into past the pheasant, actually.
Okay. You've swayed him, Dawn.
Yeah. And Diane says, hope the next case is in order, ready for next Friday.
I'm gonna have to.
And Diamond being controversial, that hair looks ready to eat.
Haven't had rabbit for a long time. But from what I remember, it was pretty tasty, actually.
Penny says, I'm binding incubator quilts
nice.
for a hospital tonight.
Oh, lovely.
I always hand sew the reverse, but I'm machine sewing these for extra security. I'm amazed how much faster this way is.
It is a lot faster, and yeah, if they're going to be washed, well, that sort of thing, if it's going to be washed a lot, then definitely, yeah. And you can see, so my thread blends a little bit, so it might be harder to see, but it is hard to make it completely invisible on the back. You will tend to see a line of stitching of some sorts, but it is a lot quicker.
Jeanette, go ahead.
Oh, it feels different as well from, it adds a little bit more weight to it on the edges, makes it a little bit stiffer. So bear in mind that if you're doing it on your own quilts, that it is going to feel different to hand binding as well.
Jeanette likes the hare and the hedgehog.
Oh.
And Pam is watching.
Oh, hi Pam. Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Next week we'll go back to quilts. So we'll do the strip quilting and ribbon quilts. And yeah, so have a good weekend. Here's my wine. Cheers. Yeah, hopefully, I think we're supposed to have nice weather this weekend, so hopefully everybody will get to enjoy a little bit of sun. And yeah, maybe next week we'll be able to catch up on Sewing Bee and who won the Sewing Bee. We can all have a natter about that as well. And if we don't catch up while we're watching John. Yeah. So bye everybody. Have a good night and thanks for watching. Bye.